Hello and welcome to Move or Improve with Debbie. I'm your host, Debbie Miller, and today I'm going to talk to you about things that you need to watch out for. Don't bust your remodeling budget. I'm going to give you some tips to stay on track. You've made a decision to age in place, but you know you need to have some stuff done to make it accommodate your lifestyle at this age. Well, big surprise, and that remodeling project you want to start will not be finished in a 30 or 60-minute segment like what you see on HGTV. Doesn't happen. Especially if you do it yourself. Oh my gosh, I've seen so many people spend too much on a renovation when they didn't need to because they either ran out of time or they ran out of money or both. Planning well from the start is the key to staying in your budget. Yeah, you can dream it, but can you afford it? Your ideas and tastes should match your budget. So I'm going to talk to you today about that. I've done a lot of remodeling over my 25-year career in real estate. Before that, even, I bought houses and fixed them up. I've done a lot of remodeling over my 25-year career in real estate. And before that, I was even buying houses and fixing them up. So I do know about surprises. Trying to complete a project on your own, it's called do-it-yourself, DIY, has definite negative results, and it often winds up costing more in the long run because projects don't always go according to plan. If this is the first time you've done a particular project and you've watched the videos and you've watched YouTube and you think you know what you're doing, well, guess what? It doesn't always go that way. And here's what I mean. A recent ImproveNet survey found that of the 2,000 people who completed their questionnaire on remodeling, 63% of respondents regretted attempting at least one of the projects that they wanted to complete. 63%, that's a lot. 56% of those responding decided to complete the project by themselves in order to save money. 10% said they would do the project to be sure it's done right. They felt they could do better themselves. And they felt they could save at least 60% by doing it themselves rather than to pay a professional. Unfortunately, 1 in 3 respondents had to call a professional to come in and fix the botched work. And of course, good contractors can't stop on a dime and bail you out of a mess. What do you think they are? Nearly half of the respondents that did the survey said home improvement projects took longer than anticipated, were physically harder than anticipated, and were technically harder than they thought it would be. And they also ran over budget by twice as much. Homeowners spent an average of 22 hours longer than they expected on projects that fell behind the schedule. In addition, 55% said the finished product didn't look good. Another 24% said it didn't function well. 21% said it didn't hold up over time. The people who worked on their own projects, they spent an average of 6 hours researching the project, but many confessed to watching a YouTube video or a home improvement website as a guide. It still didn't work out. The most commonly attempted projects were interior painting, floor tile installation, bath fixture installations, and hardware floor installations. The projects that were regretted the most were floor tile installations, replacing a ceiling, refinishing hardwood floors, installing carpet, and finishing a basement. 40% of the people who responded said they were sorry they tackled flooring. 35% regretted doing a room addition. Can you imagine the do-it-yourselfer doing a room addition? I can't. 31% regretted undertaking wall and ceiling projects, and yet another 30% regretted trying to install cabinet and countertops. I can see why. Now, the survey didn't include how much arguing went on between spouses or significant others or partners. Arguing can lead to bickering over the tiniest of issues. She wants gray tile, you want beige. You want a pattern, she wants plain. Better to have those conversations about color, lighting, finishes, hardware, and more ahead of time, thank you. You can always complete a simple project like installing a new mailbox, but be honest and upfront to avoid making a quick choice when your partner's not available. Neighbors don't like hearing you scream at each other. And be mindful that if you work from home, you'll have weeks of nightmarish construction noise to contend with. The person staying at home will bear the brunt of the construction mess, so you need to plan accordingly for that. But the day will come when the porta potty leaves the yard and the dust settles. Construction is very stressful, but remember, it's not a way of life. It will be over. First house I ever bought was a 1914 farmhouse that needed everything. The kitchen sink drained into a bucket underneath it, and the basement flooded terribly. But, oh, I was so confident I could have all the wallpaper stripped. Purchased it in October, and I thought, oh, I'd get this done before Thanksgiving. Well, it was the following spring before I got that project finished, because it turned out there were 14 layers of wallpaper, and there had been no prep work done to make removal simple. But I persevered. I found original plaster walls with horsehair in them. I personally installed new ceiling drywall in many of the rooms and taped and spackled till I was exhausted. And remember, there were no YouTube back then. So I watched this old house and hoped for the best. There was only one bathroom in the house, but successfully moved it to another location with help. It was planned out well ahead of time. I fluxed and soldered copper pipe. Project started on a Friday, and we had the shower ready in the new bathroom by Sunday evening. Needless to say, I have a great deal of respect for good drywall contractors and plumbers and electricians. And just so you know, true confessions, I haven't done drywall since that day, but I know what to look for in a good drywall person. Another house I worked on needed a new kitchen that was functionally obsolete. So once the design was done and the cabinets were ordered, I cooked meals in the laundry room using an electric skillet, ate on paper plates, or just ate out. I hired an excellent contractor to complete the entire kitchen. It turned out beautifully, but it did take over a month. I bought a house a few years ago that I knew was really closer to tear down more than a fixer-upper, but I liked the location and I do like a challenge, and the house had lots of possibilities. The downstairs bathroom shower drained very slowly, so I hired a technician to come do a video of the sewer line, and sure enough, there was a huge gash in the pipe and tree roots were growing up in it. The entire floor had to be jackhammered and a new sewer line had to be run. And I thought, well, since I've got the floor ripped out, just go ahead and design a new bathroom, extra features to age in place. Well, I wanted to knock through a wall to enlarge the space, but when I looked behind the wall with the plumber, there was the main water supply line to the house. And that would have required a huge amount of money, and I didn't want to spend it. So I reworked the existing space. So just remember, every project that you start, you're going to have surprises. Every project in the house that I had done had been done wrong by the previous owners. But I didn't have to worry about saving anything. I just ripped it out, threw it away. So if you insist on doing the project yourself, watch out for these supposed renovations that will lower a housing's value. And if you get ready to sell, take care of them first before you list. You do not want to install fancy light fixtures. You may think it adds dramatic touches and will make it more appealing. Not. Buyers are turned off, no pun intended. You want to keep it simple so you appeal to a wide audience of buyers. And another thing to think about is wallpaper, notoriously difficult to take off if the surface underneath isn't prepared properly. So if you're going to install wallpaper, make sure you do it right, because you'll have to remove the wallpaper and paint with neutral colors when you move. Another thing to remember is don't pick unique or strange floor tiles. It's not a time to install something that reflects your personal preference. Just stick with neutral colors. You can always lay an area rug down or add some pillows to a room that's got neutral colors to it. It's just too expensive to rip out tiles, and a buyer will be turned off by it, especially if you choose something that's way outside your budget. Another thing to think about is carpet. 54% of buyers are willing to pay more for hardwood floors. So homes with a lot of carpeting are not as desirable, and carpet can show wear easily, especially on neutral colors. So if you're lucky enough to have hardwoods under the carpet, just pull the carpet and tacking strips and carefully remove the staple tacks that hold down the padding. Sometimes just a light buff will bring them back to life, unless you have a pet who decided to use the rug instead of going outside, or you had a plant in a corner that you overwatered. Stains will have to be dealt with separately, but always use a professional to refinish floors. Too many people try to refinish the floors themselves and just get ruined. No, this is just a no. No, no, no. As far as bold or vibrant paints, it will take a longer amount of time to find a buyer who thinks like you do with your color scheme. It may be your preference, but it's not a buyer's. So just repaint with a bright color or dark color. Will take an extra coat of paint, and you have to prime it first. And sometimes it takes even more. You have to prime it and put 2 coats of regular paint on to cover the old bright color. And if you're willing to do that and enjoy it while you're there, fine, do it. But just know that it's going to take extra time to get it ready when you sell. Don't over-improve your kitchen. Just keep it to the basics. Functionality is important. Quartz is a popular countertop. Much easier to keep clean than granite. You just want to make sure you go with simple things, simple finishes. You don't necessarily have to have high-end custom-made cabinets. There are so many other choices out there, so look around and keep it very functional. Fancy bathrooms, so hard to keep clean, and whirlpool tubs are yesterday's favorite. Too hard to keep clean. So think about a walk-in shower, which will appeal to more buyers. And even if it's like a double wide where the bathtub used to be, that's great. It has good resale value because the general population is getting older and they all want those kinds of things too. Don't combine bedrooms to create a bigger one. No, it decreases the home's value. I once had a client who took a small bedroom next to the bathroom and added that bedroom square footage to the bathroom to enlarge it. Yeah, it was nice. And then they put in a huge master bath, but they only had that one bath on the main level. It took longer to find the right buyer. Don't remove a big closet to create another space. People always want more closets. They may not need a larger bedroom or bathroom, but boy, do they want closets. Another no-no is a sunroom. It's one of the worst renovations you can make as far as getting any return on your investment. Just do a screened-in porch or a deck before you consider a sunroom. People love to have screened-in porches and decks. If you're converting a garage, no. Some homeowners park in their driveway and renovate the garage into a custom space like a home gym. Many buyers want to park in the garage. If you want a gym, don't make it permanent. You can always remove it when you sell a home. Improving an existing garage to make it useful as a garage is a hot ticket in today's market. Installing a new garage door not only adds to the resale value, but it also adds substantially to the looks. So now you say, okay, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to do it myself. Well, how do you survive a renovation project? Well, I'm going to give you some tips on that too. First of all, you really need to stay organized. You need to find a central spot to store your tools and equipment that you'll use every day. That way you won't have to search everywhere trying to remember where you left the hammer or the screws or whatever. Planning is practically perfect in every way. You make a detailed master list of the project that you want to complete. You make it as detailed as possible, down to how many nails you'll need for the drywall. Chances are you'll still leave something out, so allow for extra time on each project. And tasks that you thought wouldn't take very long, they may very well take much longer. So make sure you not only budget for price-wise to add more to the budget, but also time-wise. Your budget is important, so think through what you will need for each project and think it through again. Include any tool rentals that you may have to cover and add 10% to your budget if it's a new space and 20% of cost of materials if it's an existing space that you weren't able to open up prior to see what was behind the walls. That buffer applies to the materials as well as your time. Holdups do occur.